My name is Kevon Stewart. I am the director.
What's up, guys? We reacted to Pierre Poilievre's speech the other day. Canada, America first, Canada first, and now Jagmeet Singh from the NDP. They have a proposal, I guess, for the steel workers and from the tariffs that Trump's proposing. So let's see how it goes.
Of Ontario and Atlantic Canada with the United Steelworkers Union.
United
I
Steelworkers
want to
Union.
thank everyone for being here today to discuss this critical issue facing Canadian workers. I'd also like to thank NDP leader Jagmeet Singh for joining us today. Together, we stand united in our commitment to protecting workers across Canada. Today, we're here to talk about the steel industry.
I think Jagmeet Singh was the guy that got called out for having a Maserati, and then he said it's not his, it's his wife's or
A
something.
true pillar of Canadian economy. Steel is an industry that supports thousands of good-paying union jobs and sustains entire communities from coast to coast. Hamilton, Sault Ste. Marie, Regina, Edmonton.
What did he say?
Hamilton, Sault Ste. Marie, Regina,
Vagina?
Edmonton, Selkirk. These are just a few communities where steelworkers have built strong, resilient economies and where they settled with their families. The work that happens in these communities is more than just a job. It's a livelihood for workers, their families, and their entire community.
Yeah, so because of the tariffs put on by America, uh, they raised the price of imported steel, leading to increased costs for Canadian manufacturers who export to the U.S., as well as for American companies that rely on Canadian steel. But Trump already said he wants to make the U.S. steel better, and I think this is a response to that. Yeah, it can just translate to higher costs.
Communities. But the steel industry is under threat. Last week, President
Yeah, I
Trump,
see.
took another dangerous step that escalates the trade conflict between the U.S. and Canada by signing an executive order imposing a 25% tariff on all U.S. imports of steel and aluminum, including Canada, effective March 12th. These tariffs will stack
March 12th. So the tariffs haven't even taken place yet. I don't think on anybody. So everybody's just posturing right now, figuring out what they're actually going to do. I know Trump just announced that he's kind of changing his plan. He's like, oh, I don't know if I want to do just blanket tariffs. I think we'll just do dollar for dollar. So we'll
on
see.
top of the 25% tariff already in place on all Canadian exports, which were temporarily delayed for 30 days. Let's be clear. This has
Let's be clear. Let's act tough.
nothing to do with fair trade. It's about politics.
It's a
And
bargaining
Canadian
chip.
workers and industries like the steel sector will be impacted. When steel workers lose their jobs, their families, their communities all feel the pain.
Yeah, I heard Canada has a lot of like union jobs. It's a lot of unions. Is that true? Because I'm sure that's big business for jobs like steel.
This 30-day reprieve is clearly not a long-term solution. The threats remain, and they're adding up.
It's
We
gonna stay
can't
the entire
afford to
4 years,
stand
I think.
idly by while President Trump uses these tariffs to hurt workers. We need to fight back and get ready for the worst case scenario. This is
I'm already comparing this to like Pierre Poilievre. I don't know how to say his name, but Pierre was like, he was throwing out solutions, right? He's like, oh, if we cut our money, we could pay for defense, we could pay for this, make them happy, but also like, we got to take care of ourselves. It's gonna suck a little bit, and this guy is just saying a bunch of things. Obviously, Trump's gonna be bad for Canadians, but you got to open your eyes to the real problems. It's not just always blame Trump, blame Trump.
negotiations. As steelworkers unions, we know a thing or two about negotiations. We face tough bosses, even bullies.
Even
We
bullies.
know that sometimes we have to make tough decisions,
God.
like striking to protect our interests. We know that a strike is painful short term, but it's good for the long term. Right now, the government is negotiating with a bully, and we're here to tell them
Like, I don't understand why he's saying that with the bully. Dude, the guy is just negotiating and he's using his leverage to get what he wants for us Americans, I'm sure Canadians are gonna join, but this type of rhetoric is just dumb. Like when I hear Pierre Poilievre talking, like he gets mad too, but then he's like he always says like, yeah, but we do have things we have to fix, right? And this guy's just like passing the buck all to Trump.
That as long as workers remain at the center of their decision, we will support them. But we need action now.
Who is this guy?
Our governments
I know that's Jagmeet.
must act now to secure protections for steelworkers and all Canadian workers likely to be impacted, as well as industries they support. We need a comprehensive response. And a good way to start would be required that all publicly funded projects use Canadian steel, aluminum, and other materials. Canadian taxpayers' money must be used to support Canadian jobs, and period.
All right, that's so far that's similar to what Polier was saying. He's like, oh, none of this money should be going to anything besides the people. All right.
We're also asking the government to implement immediate measures to protect workers who could be affected by this trade war, starting with improving the work share program to ensure workers remain employed.
Let me see. What is a work share program? Do you guys know? I'm gonna look up work share program. I want to find out what this is because I don't know much about Canada, so I'm trying to learn everything, right? So work share program. The work sharing program in Canada is designed to help employers avoid layoffs by allowing employees to work reduced hours while receiving employment insurance benefit for the time not worked. So basically, it's like unemployment benefits, I guess. It helps them out.
But the steel industry, United Steelworkers will continue to fight for these jobs, and we will not back down. We will stand with our allies and push policies to protect our workers and their communities from these reckless tariffs. It is now my privilege.
I'm pretty sure Canada, you guys tariff each other between state to state. I'm gonna look that up too. State to state, you guys tariff each other because like sending oil or something. Let me look that up. I want to make sure.
To introduce Jagmeet Singh, the leader of the NDP, who has been a strong voice for the workers and a true ally.
Yeah, there's sales tax like the goods and service tax, GST, provincial sales tax, harmonized sales tax, and the Quebec sales tax, which can vary between provinces. A federal tax at 5% across all provinces. PST applied in some provinces like British Columbia, Manitoba, and Saskatchewan.
Ally in this fight.
Thanks so much, Kevon. Appreciate it. Kevon, District 6.
So you guys are tariffing each other's states pretty much.
The work represent the folks that build the steel in our country. We have some of the best workers in the world, if not the best workers in the world.
There it is,
Maserati. Steel, we make some of the best, if not the best steel in the world. We're in Hamilton right now, and this is a steel town. So these are the workers that are impacted by these tariffs. These are workers that are already feeling the impacts. But like Canadians, these workers are defiant. Canadians made a decision. We're seeing it across the country. People are saying, we're not going to buy American. We're going to boycott American. We're going to buy Canadian. Canadians are proud of their country, and they want to fight back, just like these workers.
And where he's talking right now, Hamilton has one of the highest concentrations of steel manufacturing activity in Canada. But the employment contribution has decreased over the years. Steel industry directly employs thousands, but a percentage of Hamilton's total labor force.
Fight back.
So it's a big industry in Hamilton, I guess.
In fighting back. My plan as Prime Minister is to ensure when we build infrastructure in this country, we got to build, but let's build using 100% Canadian steel. Let's put these workers
that's crazy.
to work.
You guys tax
these
each other.
These workers want to work.
That's what I'm saying. Even if you guys just made it better to deal with each other, I think that would save a lot of money and headache too. Kind of lessen the tariffs.
Some of the best steel in the world, so let's use that for all the projects. So we want a massive infrastructure build where we are building the hospitals, the roads, the public infrastructure, the public transport using Canadian steel and Canadian workers. Let's turn inwards to ensure that we are building the country that we need with Canadian workers and Canadian steel. In addition, as Prime Minister, we got to make sure that we're here for workers. Whenever there's ups and downs, we got to be there for them. So I want to enhance EI. That includes looking at better work share and better supports for workers. If ever it's needed, EI should be there for you.
This guy sounds like somebody who says a lot of good things, but doesn't really actually. It kind of reminds me of Gavin Newsom, but with a beard.
But we got to start
He
first
sounds like a good politician. He talks well.
by building our country up and making sure we use Canadian steel and Canadian workers to do that. But we know when there's conflict, when there's uncertainty, when there's unpredictability, there's different approaches. We know for the Conservatives and Pierre Poilievre, anytime he's confronted with a challenge like this, his solution is the same: cut jobs.
I think he means cut wasteful spending. It's just like the liberals here. He's talking about cutting wasteful spending. He's
Services that people need, and that's going to cost you and your family. That's the conservative
It's actually costing now. I think if you ask me, if it's like America, it costs more now because it's costing the taxpayers.
way. That's what they're proposing. And why? Well, they want to cut from you and your family to give to their billionaire buddies. That's
Oh
what
my god, dude, same thing is here. They're saying the same exact thing here. Elon Musk is going through Doge and finding all these scams because he's trying to enrich his buddies. And how?
do. I'm surprised, though, that Mark Carney is now sounding really similar. He's saying some of the same things. He's saying he wants to cut public sector jobs, he wants to cut services, and he wants to give a big tax giveaway to his millionaire CEO buddies.
Seems that way to me.
It's no wonder that Stephen Harper, the former Conservative Prime Minister of Canada, wanted Mark Carney to be his finance minister, because clearly they see eye to eye, cutting services, cutting jobs, cutting public sector workers.
It's getting heated now in Canadian politics. Everyone's going at each other.
Billionaire CEO buddies. New Democrats reject that approach. We want to invest in our own country. We want to build up our country. We want to support workers. And to do that, we need to build Canadian with Canadian steel and Canadian workers, and we can do that. We're going to fight back by supporting our workers in our own country. That's what New Democrats are proposing to do today.
Hey, Hockey Pokey, who's Jarrett? From province. Each province has a specific production. Ontario has cars and steel. Quebec has electricity, steel, and aluminum. Alberta products, gas, etc. Those are the things that have tariffs when they transfer. Dude, that's terrible, man. That's terrible. Like, what's the point of that? Is that just to is that just so the province makes money on what it produces, or I don't know. Wouldn't you make more money just selling outside?
Tellement honoré d'être ici à Hamilton avec
get the French in there
directeur de District 6, Kevin Stewart. Aussi avec des métallos arrière moi. Ce sont les chefs de leur mouvement syndical. Ce sont les présidents de leur syndicat local. Et je suis fier d'être ici.
Yo, Nicole, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I like watching other countries' politics, because you literally have the same types of characters everywhere. It's like it's planned.
On est dans une ville, la ville de Hamilton, une ville avec beaucoup de travailleurs métallos, des travailleurs qui produisent l'acier canadien. Donc, ils sont les travailleurs impactés par les tarifs.
505.
Et ils ont peur. Ils ont des inquiétudes. Mais en même temps, ils sont défiants. Comme le reste des Canadiens qui sont défiants, qui disent non, on n'accepte pas l'intimidation de Donald Trump. Ce sont les travailleurs qui disent la même chose. On n'accepte pas l'intimidation de Donald Trump. On est prêt de se battre pour notre pays. Donc, on a besoin d'une...
It's funny because, like, these guys talk about Trump so much, and I don't think Trump's ever even mentioned Poilievre or Jagmeet. He just mentions Trudeau a lot.
Le monde qui se bat pour les travailleurs. Donc, ça, c'est pourquoi aujourd'hui, je propose, comme Premier ministre, que je vais investir, que je vais encourager davantage de produits, de créer de construire les infrastructures qu'on a besoin.
Your husband is a Canadian steelworker? All right, let me ask you a question then. How would these American tariffs affect your husband's job? Would they make cuts to the companies? Or how does that work over there?
Ici dans notre pays, avec les travailleurs canadiens, avec la...
Yeah, I think Pierre would work things out with Trump, but not that Trump necessarily likes Pierre, but it's like a business. Like, Pierre, what he wants for Canada is also good for Trump, because that's just how it is. Just take care of your country. then in Trump's eyes, it's like we don't have to spend money taking care of you, right?
D'acier canadien. 100% d'acier canadien doit être dans l'infrastructure canadienne où on a une implication fédérale. On doit avoir 100% l'acier canadien pour encourager ces travailleurs, pour aider ces travailleurs et pour bâtir un pays.
That's wild. See, I'm an American, but that's weird to me. Like, an American owns your steel company and employs a Canadian. I would like it to be a Canadian company employs the Canadian, you know, and then American steel companies here employing Americans.
Pays plus résilient. En même temps, les travailleurs doivent savoir.
I'm gonna skip forward a little bit.
Pourquoi comme premier emploi.
No French for me.
Mais dans ces temps, et Pierre Poilievre l'a déjà dit, son approche dans cette situation pour donner des gros cadeaux aux riches pays.
So, Hokie, that means that because your husband works at the steel place, then Ontario sells the steel stuff to another province, and then they tax you, or they tax the other province.
PDG.
Yeah, so it would be like taxing Nicole for lumber.
Ce que les conservateurs font tout le temps. Mais je suis surpris un peu que Mark Carney a commencé à dire la même chose. Il a aussi proposé de couper les emplois, couper les services dont vous avez besoin pour donner des cadeaux aux riches PDG. Mais ce n'est pas surprenant parce que il était le choix d'ancien et la ministre des Finances proche. Merci.
Sorry, I'm not cool like you guys. I don't speak French.
Hello, Kelly Botello, CHCH News.
Kelly.
My question is for Mr. Stewart.
Mr. Stewart?
Hamilton is a steel town. As you know, these tariffs are extremely top of mind to everyone in this city. You're throwing your support behind Jagmeet Singh. What is it that he's promised you and your union specifically?
Dude, that's ridiculous. 7 to 12 times? Oh my
you
God.
think is worth throwing your support behind him?
Thank you for the question. It's not a matter of Jagmeet Singh.
I'm assuming it's like, yeah. Why would it have to pass so many times though? Don't they assemble it in Canada and then just have to come back over? Like, why does it go back forward like a million times?
Promising the steelworkers anything. What we see is Jagmeet's willing to stand up for workers, and the workers in Hamilton need somebody to look up to.
Oh, he's willing to, say some words for the workers. Great.
And somebody's going to fight for their backs. Right now, the tariffs are coming. The question is, we don't know what the government is going to do right now. You hear Jagmeet out in the public speaking.
Dude, it's so clear this is a campaign tactic. He's trying to garner the support.
What he's willing to do and what he's willing to stand up for. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for a government that's willing to fight for us.
And my next question is for Mr. Singh.
Products made here because America can't make the quality steel that comes out of Canada.
Prime Minister
so then why wouldn't a Canadian own that?
You'll be dealing with the Trump administration and, of course, these looming tariffs. How would you deal with President Trump? What are your tactics that you think would be effective for someone like him?
Here we go. Let's hear what Jagmeet's tactics are against Trump, against the orange man.
There's two parts to this. First of all, we're dealing with someone who's a bully. And bullies...
Why does he keep saying that? He's negotiating with you. He has more leverage.
He's only understand one thing. That is strength. And Hamilton knows something about being in a fight. Hamilton's a scrappy town. They know what it's like. You got to fight back. That's for sure. But we can't control what he's going to do. We got to fight back. We got to defend our country. But we also have to look at what we can do for our country. And that's why I'm saying if we're going to use our federal government to build projects, let's massively build projects using 100% Canadian steel. Why are we using other steel for projects in our country when we can build it here in our country? We can put...
Yeah, that's what you were saying, Hokey Pokey. You claim that you guys have the best steel. So why would Canadian companies even consider using other companies' steel?
Canadian workers to work. That's what I'm proposing today. If we're going to build hospitals, roads, bridges, and we need to, if we're going to build public transport.
Yeah, it's weird because I'm assuming some of the stuff that's, used outside of Canada steel, I'm pretty sure Jagmeet would have been involved in stuff like that, no? Or isn't he part of the government now and trying to be prime minister?
We're
or
going
is
to
he already
build massive
something?
Infrastructure projects. Let's use 100% Canadian steel. Let's ensure that these workers have jobs in Canada supported by a government that puts workers first. That's our vision. We can't control what Trump's going to do. We can fight back, and we absolutely are ready to do that. But we got to be defiant in building up a country that we are proud of. And to do that, let's build Canadian, buy Canadian, support Canadian workers.
And Jagmeet,
Build
do you
back
know
better.
right now how much steel in Canada is not Canadian steel that's being currently used?
Well, there's actually no requirement right now. When there are projects being built with taxpayer dollars, there's no real requirement that ensures that it's going to be all Canadian content. Many projects we see federal money going to foreign countries, foreign companies. We're not actually seeing a strong requirement that if we're building a bridge, if we're building roads, if we're building infrastructure, that all that content
Canada
is Canadian.
first,
That's not something
right?
that any other party is proposing. We're saying let's use 100% Canadian steel in every project. Let's make that a requirement. If we're going to work with provinces to build projects, which we absolutely should, let's encourage them to also have a requirement that every
Yeah, at this point, Justin Trudeau, it just seems like he's just a globalist, little puppet. He did nothing good for Canada.
piece, every part of steel that's used is 100% Canadian. Imagine the type of economy we could build if we were using Canadian steel and Canadian workers to build our country. Imagine the type of country we could build together. That's what I'm envisioning, where we are using the power of our country to build a better country.
Nous allons maintenant prendre les questions sur Zoom.
Oh
We'll now
my
take
God,
questions
here we
on
go with the
Zoom. One
French.
question, one follow-up. We will start with David Baxter with,
Oh, it's
the,
English.
with the CP. Please go ahead.
Hey there, Mr. Singh, can you hear me?
Yes, David.
Hey.
All right, perfect. All right, talking about building things like hospitals, roads, bridges. One thing I haven't heard you mention that uses a lot of steel is pipelines. That there's lots of talk about.
Let's see. What's he gonna say about pipelines? I think that's against the religion of liberalism, right? Green everything. Green
Tariffs,
everything.
right? Does Canada relook at
We need to make wind turbines out in the ocean.
case for an east-west pipeline for something like natural gas? What would the NDP do on that front?
Well, we absolutely need to build infrastructure east-west. And what I'm
Yeah,
proposing
maybe stop taxing your companies and spending it on green bullshit. That'd be
is
great.
an east-west energy grid. We've got incredible supplies of low-cost, cheap electricity that's clean electricity, but we're not connected between the provinces. Imagine the climate we could create, the business climate, the
Yeah, that too. I heard Pierre Poilievre say, instead of having your pipeline go through like America, you guys should have an east to west pipeline, so it doesn't even touch America.
manufacturing climate we could create across the country if we connected the cheap, low cost, cheap, clean electricity from jurisdictions like Manitoba, like BC and Quebec, and
It always has to be electric. Get some gas up in here.
connected that across the country. Imagine the
dinosaur
amount of
juice.
jobs we could create. We built an east-west energy grid that connected our country.
There you
That's
go.
a project that would put steel workers to work,
Dude, he's saying the same thing Pierre said.
electricians to work, a host of jobs, and it would build up a more resilient country. We've heard, and I went to Germany, spoke with the German government. They want our energy. They want clean energy. So let's build clean energy in our country. That's a massive infrastructure project.
Yeah, I got
That's
a
lots of
question
steel.
for you
That's
Canadians
lots
up
of
in
jobs.
here. So we have Justin Trudeau, we have Jagmeet, we have Mark Carney, and we have Pierre Poilievre. Where would you guys rank these guys? Because it seems like some of them say the same things. It's a lot of like political jargon, but it's like I feel like Poilievre sounds different. It feels different when I'm listening to him.
And that stays in our country. That builds up our country.
So is that a no to the idea of an NDP government approving an east-west pipeline?
Yeah, you hear that? He basically just danced around the entire question and said, "Oh, we have beautiful electricity in this other state, this and that." He's like, "Oh, you still didn't answer my question though."
No, that's just my priority. My priority is we need a big, massive public infrastructure project, and I like
Still
to
didn't
see
answer
an
it.
east-west energy grid.
Okay.
But when it comes to public projects around energy, we have a couple of criteria that we look at. These are important criteria.
It has to be not worth it, and it has to absolutely ruin everything. And we have to completely negate the most useful thing.
We want to make sure, one,
My
it's something
husband's
that the
company
community
just got
wants
huge
in their
contract from
community,
Amazon.
so
They have
social
tried
acceptability.
to make this
We want to make
product
sure
in
that it's a
USA
project that
Mexico,
actually
but still
benefits
isn't good
workers.
enough.
So we want
Hey,
to see
good
a
for your
clear plan
husband.
that creates
Fucking
jobs
makes a lot
in
of money.
communities that benefits Canadian workers. We want to make sure that we meet our environmental requirements, so we're not damaging or hurting the environment. And finally, we want to make sure we work with Indigenous communities to make these projects
Yeah, I
happen.
said it in my last stream. I want Canada to be extremely rich.
But yeah, we're open to
Make your
projects if they
monies.
make those criteria. The project that I'm really focused on and excited about is an east-west energy grid, but we're open to other projects as well.
Nous allons maintenant à Émilie Bergeron avec la presse canadienne. C'est à vous.
Oui, oui, voulez-vous, please? Parking on the
Oui,
left.
bonjour, Monsieur Singh, vous m'entendez?
Bonjour.
Oui, bonjour.
Bonjour.
Oui.
Sorry, I have to skip. I don't speak this.
Mais la main, là, comment vous allez?
Oh, yeah.
Ça
Well,
paye
505, 505.
Et là, que
Uh-huh.
les choses différemment. Mais une autre
Mon ami Gabi.
conservateur qui coupe, ils savent vous réduire vos
To
factures.
bypass
Ils vont
Ontario and Quebec, they cut it off from
vos
US.
argent,
We
qui va
stop flying into
renforcer
some
nos
of
institutions publiques
Maritimes.
et nos
En anglais, là, de mon vers. Est-ce que
pays. Une électricité, on a des
I'm gonna watch Mark Carney after this.
Et un projet d'électricité abordable qui est pour créer les intérêts. Donc ça, nos
Enough with the French.
Hi, Mr. Singh. You've talked extensively about how there'll be,
Hi,
in
Mr.
your
Singh.
estimation, an election in March, yet you guys have only roughly 140 candidates nominated so far. What's taking so long for the NDP to get?
Yeah, I think Hokie, you agree with us. Jagmeet he's a politician. He's a typical politician. He knows how to say things. He just weasels around everything.
Get a full slate of candidates in place?
We'll be ready, election ready when the election comes. We're well on track to achieve that. We have hit all of our targets, and we'll be ready for an election. And that election is going to be important for folks out there. You're
So
seeing
Jagmeet is one of the competitors, right? He's putting his hat in the race.
what
And
we're
then
focused
Trudeau's out already, basically, right? So Carney, this guy, or
on. We want
Collier.
workers first. We want to support you and your family. The Conservatives want to cut, and it's going to cost you. And the Liberals let you down. And people tell me they don't want to give them another shot. It's an important election. We'll be ready to fight it.
Provincially, we've seen an NDP candidate drop out and say, back the Liberal candidate. They're the best person to be able to beat the Conservatives in our riding. At a federal level, I'm sure there's many progressives who would like the idea of voting for you, but they look at the polls and see that the Liberals are pulling ahead. Will you commit to running a full slate of candidates across the country and run against the Liberals in every riding?
Yes, we'll have a full slate of candidates. And I can tell you, I've been in government, in elected official, in some of the most difficult times. And during the pandemic, when there was just 25
is that when he bought his Maserati during the pandemic?
of us, we were able to fight for the things that Canadians needed. If we were not there, if New Democrats were not there, people weren't going to get the help that they needed. And now in this last minority government, everything that we were able to get done that made people's lives better, protections for workers, funding for pharmacare, dental care for seniors, only happened because of New Democrats. We have seen that governments do not act and can't get things done unless more New Democrats are elected. Elect more of us, and more will be done for working people. Today, we talked about a plan for workers first, to build Canadian infrastructure using Canadian steel.
That's
what
funny.
you get with a Canadian. That's what you get with
guy's
New
a
Democrats in
comedian.
power. So I encourage you all, if you want someone that's going to fight for you, I'm just going to stand up for you. Elect a New Democrat.
Elect
in your
me.
riding.
I'll be at your side with my red Maserati, ready to fight for you wherever you are. I am Jagmeet Singh, and I approve this message.
We will now go to Olivia Stefanovic with CBC News. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Singh.
Good morning.
Should U.S. President Donald Trump be allowed to come to the G7 in Canada while he's insulting Canada and making threats against it?
Oh, this is interesting.
Well, I think it's an important question. This is someone that's threatened our country and has threatened our very sovereignty. What I'm really concerned about is the fact that we've got a candidate who's running for prime minister who is endorsed by Elon Musk, someone that's
Cool,
a part of the
Hokie. You're a
administration
TikToker?
that has threatened our country.
Hopefully you're
threatened our
talking
jobs,
about Canadian
and
politics.
Pierre Poilievre accepted that endorsement. That shows you where he stands. He accepted the endorsement of someone who's a part of an administration that wants to take over our country. It shows you that he is not fit to be prime minister, and it shows you that he doesn't put Canada first. I've said very clearly, let's attack directly Elon Musk by putting 100% retaliatory tariffs.
Okay, I get you're mad at Trump, but what the hell does Elon have to do? Elon's destroying our own politicians. You know, he's not putting tariffs on you.
Tesla products. Let's make them feel the economic pain. They want to take shots at us. We're ready to fight back. That's where I stand. I want to stand up for Canada, fight back for Canada. We're not seeing that from Pierre Poilievre, and that shows you where he stands.
And given the expectations of Canada's allies and how defense spending is...
Seems like they all have one thing in common, and that's all the other politicians don't like Pierre.
Tied to trade. What is your plan to meet the NATO 2% target? Can you give us a specific year in which the NDP would reach NATO's defense spending target by?
I appreciate the
Oh yeah, but you guys have to admit, your guys' defense spending is really, really low. It's at like 1.29% or something.
question. You'll understand that we'll roll out the details of our spending, the details of our plan closer to the election. But I can tell you our values on this. I've said very clearly that the men and women who
if it's following how American politics went, the lefties are attacking you because you guys are winning in public, right? They see the actual internal polls and they see that Pierre's a threat, and that's why they have to go into overdrive and shove you guys this propaganda. So some of you will be like, oh, maybe.
serve in our country are serving and doing the work that we ask of them with equipment that frankly should be in a museum. They're using outdated equipment that is not up to par.
What does herbalism mean? Is that like healthy,
and
holistic
so we
stuff?
absolutely need to invest in giving the men and women who serve the equipment they need to do the work we ask of them. So that's going to be an
I'm
investment
actually trying to become friends with this stray cat. It always comes in our backyard, so
that we are prepared to make the right equipment to do the work we ask of them. We also know that the men and women who serve often cannot find housing in the communities where they're posted. And so we've committed to building housing on base for Canadian Armed Forces so they can live on base in affordable homes. So that's another expenditure that we're prepared to make. These are both significant expenditures, but necessary. We are in a time right now in a world that is more dangerous than before, more uncertain than before. And we need to make sure that we are doing what we can to protect our country and to support those that serve for our country.
We have one last question with Mark Ramsey from the Toronto Star. Please go ahead.
Hi, Mr. Singh. Thank you for taking our questions. Your party has said that it expects Mark Carney to win the Liberal leadership race. Several polls have showed that if Mark Carney wins the Liberal leadership race, the Liberals would trend a bit higher with voters and they take away support from the NDP. Why do you think progressive voters are looking at Mark Carney as the alternative to Pierre Poilievre and not you?
Well, we've seen this before. Any leadership race, there's a bump for the party, particularly when the leadership race involves determining who the current prime minister will be. So, of course, that's going to happen. But there'll be an important election.
Yeah, they always lie about Pierre, of course.
Campaigns matter. And
these politicians can't do anything but lie.
We're going to put the choice to Canadians. They're going to have an important choice to make. I've asked Canadians this question, and I encourage folks to make this reflection themselves. Is your life better or worse after 9 years of Liberals being in power? Is it more expensive?
I can answer that for everybody, and I don't live there, and I just started following, and I can say no.
Or less expensive to buy a home? How about grocery prices? Have they gone up or gone down? On each of these points, Canadians' lives are worse after 9 years of Liberals. So Canadians have told me they feel really let down, and they're not going to give them another chance. So this next election is a choice between conservatives.
He wants to make you guys poor so the government can take more of your money and so they can all have Maseratis and maybe Ferraris.
With Pierre Poilievre.
No, let's be real. Justin Trudeau probably has a Ferrari.
We want to cut the things you need, and it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you dearly. Or New Democrats who want to invest in what you need, invest in our healthcare, invest in pensions, and lower your bills by taking on corporate greed and lower.
Yeah, you know stuff like that where you see these ridiculous things. That has to be planned. How can a legit politician go out and say two different things on the same day? Like, dude, even like my 5-year-old cousin could do that. Like, could do the opposite.
Lowering the cost of groceries, lowering the cost of homes, building the homes you can afford. That's the choice in this next election, and I'm going to be ready to fight that election and give that choice to Canadians.
Thank you. And on another note, the federal government's assault weapons buyback program, the first phase of it started in December. The second phase for individuals still hasn't started yet. And as we get to an election, it might not come into place.
They're trying to take your guns,
If you're elected prime minister, would you continue this program?
Yeah, we want to keep our communities safe.
Justin's good at sleeping with China.
To keep our communities safe. So this is something that we've supported. We've been
to be real with you guys, I think that's one of the biggest things Trump won't say. But I think that's his problem with Justin. Like, he's just in bed with China.
Concerned that the Liberals have said one thing and done another. They've not followed through on their proposal. We would make sure that we keep our community safe. Thanks so much.
This concludes our conference.
555. 555.
Another
Alright, let's go to
one
Mark
savor
Carney.
the crunchy nooks
I
and
think the
crannies
rest are
splendor
gonna
of
be French
autonomy.
for him. Alright, let's go to today. We gotta put the filters on. It's today. I can't find it. Oh, I spelled Mark Carney wrong. Alright. Filter to today. Here we go, 3 hours ago, Mark Carney. Let's see how he does. This is the third politician I'm reacting to. What's going on here?
Wow. Incroyable. Quel plaisir d'être ici. What a pleasure. I'm in the hammer. Finally. I'm in the hammer.
Yeah. Your guys' housing is more expensive than America now. Let that sink in.
I'm gonna stay, okay. No, actually, I'm gonna stay here for a while. Make yourselves comfortable. Look, actually, I'm gonna start
This guy seems the fakest of all of them so far. He doesn't even seem genuine.
on a more serious note, but a happy note. I just came from Pearson. Just landed in Pearson, and thank God for the crew, the first responders, the passengers.
Hey guys, can I ask you for a favor? If you guys can drop a like and subscribe, I would appreciate it, and we'll get back.
That yesterday's tragedy turned out as well as it could have. I know there's still.
Oh yeah, dude, the plane crash. The plane crash. What was that about? It flipped upside down.
3 people in critical condition, but
they're all okay.
It's
been crazy with the planes.
Pour un bon résultat hier, ici. Okay. Now c'est le moment. Now's the time. Who's ready?
Is municipal taxes basically like property tax? Sounds similar.
Who's ready to stand up for Canada with me?
I am.
Who is ready?
This guy sucks.
To show some Hamilton steel to the Americans.
What a weak speech so far.
They will figure it out. They will figure it out just how much they depend on this city, this region, this country. But it may take them a while.
I'm gonna find another one because there's like this weird noise in the back. Maybe that was the only one actually. Might have to go back. Yeah, that was the only one. That sucks.
Now c'est le moment. Now's the time. Who's ready? Who is ready to stand up for Canada with me? And steal to. They will figure it out. They will figure it out just how much they depend on this city, this region, this country.
That's different than America then. I think we have like bonds, community bonds.
We're gonna dig in and we're gonna take control.
It's like here it's more optional. Like you pay and then you get money back with the percentage. Something weird.
Now, I put up. It was literally a month ago yesterday. I put up my hand to run for the leadership of the Liberal Party. So I'd like to ask as well, who's ready to help the Liberal Party win the most important election in our lifetime?
Something crazy.
I'll ask again at the end, and we'll see if I can convince you to join. This is going to be an absolutely crucial election for our country.
It is. It is. I can feel it from here.
When I put my hand up a month ago,
make Canada great
because
again.
I felt that the country needed some big changes, much more of a focus on the economy.
Much more focus on the individuals who are legal and actually live in Canada. Maybe stop sending money to like other places. Stop importing the third world.
People across the country, and I've heard this over the course of the last month, real fundamental worries and stresses because of the cost of living, the housing crisis, particularly for younger Canadians, and worries even before Trump, about a world that was more divided and dangerous, and a series of technological changes that are affecting our future. A series of technological changes. By the way, after this, I'm going to McMaster and the Innovation Lab to see
McMaster
how we can put
University.
those technological changes.
Our level of taxes, including income taxes, sales, minimum federal, come up to close to 65%. 65%. 65%.
I put my hand up. I've never been a politician.
That is crazy. It's more than California.
Still say too much, answer questions directly, but what I have been is I think a pragmatist, my experience over the years. And so when I see something that doesn't work, I change it. And we had that experience in this country with...
Isn't this the guy that worked at like some bank in England and ruined it?
The consumer carbon tax, which had become fundamentally divisive in our country, and we needed to change it. You can't have a policy like that.
Yeah, absolutely not. After 65% plus inflation, things have got more expensive. Like, how do you even survive off of that? That's impossible.
Many people disagree with.
All taxes is a scam. Imagine if you had zero, well, not zero, you need some, but imagine how good of a life you would live even if they chopped that shit in half. 30% tax.
And we needed to
gladly pay that.
But I didn't want to just axe the tax. That's the simple thing. You get a t-shirt, you axe the tax, you walk away as if nothing else matters. But if you just axe the tax, then you take a lot of money out of people's pockets at a time, and times are really tough. Around here, it's almost $800 a year for a family.
So you get child benefits, as in like they pay you a monthly?
That's a lot of money. If you just axe the tax, you don't help.
Yeah, dude, it's same here in America. Like, they tax where you live, they tax what you eat, they tax if you go drive somewhere, they tax our gas, then they tax you above all of that.
Steel companies and our auto companies become more competitive.
It's slavery.
In a world where we need new trading partners. So what we did is, we proposed is to, yes, axe the tax for individuals, for small businesses, for farms.
It's funny because this guy's speaking, like, I heard axe the tax from Pierre, and this guy is repeating axe the tax. They're asking Jagmeet Singh about Pierre's, like, policies. Like, dude, Pierre is in these guys' heads.
Medium-sized businesses.
He has it. He's gonna win, no question.
Leader, and it'll be gone by
Hey, by the way, when is your election? I heard it was in October or August or something.
Just to be clear. But we said, at the same time, we're going to make sure that our businesses can become more competitive. And at the same time, we're going to make sure every Canadian, if they want to make investments in insulating their homes or driving a more fuel-efficient car, reducing emissions, reducing costs otherwise, we're going to get the large...
Carbon tax Carney, 15%.
You for it, not the taxpayers. The large...
That's called a tax for absolutely no reason right there. That's like an unnecessary tax.
That's the smart way to do it, because it actually makes it cheaper for the large polluters and better for all of you.
Bro, fuck all this pollution stuff, man. Just get rid of all that, everyone's happy.
And we're going to do one more thing. We know...
Can you imagine where all that, the carbon tax money would go anyways? It'd probably go to like Uganda or something.
That in and of itself is not enough to make everybody whole, but we're going to deliver a middle-class tax cut for all Canadians.
Early May would be great. It's like 2 months away.
So that's a bit of my background, but I'm going to add a bit more.
Yeah, at this pace, it's probably going to fall, to be honest.
To be honest, I put my hand up and I thought that...
But I heard, like, Justin's, like, I don't know what you call it, his support came back a little bit after the whole patriotism came back after the tariffs.
Things would be difficult with the Americans. I didn't think they'd be quite as difficult, quite as quickly with the Americans. I don't know that any of us really did. And in many respects, by accident or design, my career has prepared me for exactly this moment, right? And it starts with the values that you own.
This guy seems like the pick for people who don't really like follow politics like that are just like sitting at home and they hear this guy talking. They're like, yeah, he seems pretty nice. Like, he'll probably get it done.
The values in Hamilton.
Jagmeet is for like those really progressives where they're like, oh man, this guy's perfect. Look at his beard, his Maserati. And then the Patriots, obviously Pierre. Justin, I don't know who supports Justin, to be honest.
Same values I grew up in Edmonton on the prairies with, which is...
Justin's only supporters are the X accounts that are like bots.
Family, community, tolerance, ambition. All of the things.
Yeah, I heard. You guys have been shut down for a while now. Like, what even is the point of just keeping the status quo? Wouldn't it just be more beneficial to just get some new group in, at least have something going?
I ended up, as I say, accident or design, managing through some crises and helping to build economies. And I took a few lessons
It's
from
what we call the Harris effect.
One of them is exactly never forget where you came from, never forget your values. The second is that in a crisis, and unfortunately we are in a crisis.
Oh,
Canada. In a crisis, plan beats no plan. You have to have a plan. It helps people.
This guy's a very boring speaker, though. I'm not gonna lie.
It gives energy and focus and discipline. We have a plan.
So monotone.
And it will work.
Look at this guy in the back. Santa, what's Santa doing there? Does Santa live in Canada?
I learned over
Look at him back there. Back right.
And it goes back to the first is that
Santa Claus is coming to Canada.
The most powerful thing we've ever invented to get things done. Markets don't have values. People do.
And this guy on the left has his sunglasses inside because he might cry from patriotism.
Government, certainly a liberal government, is to make sure that the market, the private sector, works to help solve the problems for Canadians.
Oh, thanks, Nicole. I appreciate that.
Pierre Poilievre
Gangster.
doesn't get that. Doesn't get any of that.
It's who you blow. You guys are funny. You guys are funny. Yeah, Harris blows. Does Carney blow, though? That's what we gotta know. Who was Carney blowing? That's funny.
Who's only ever been a politician. Someone who's never earned a paycheck or had to make payroll. Okay? That sort of trickle-down economics is not what
I hate these buzzwords, dude. Trickle-down economics, trickle-down.
Drive this country forward.
What the hell does that even mean?
Yeah. Now, the challenge. So the challenge we have right now, and we know it, one of the challenges we have, it comes from south of the border. And the bottom line is the Americans, and it's becoming increasingly clear, want our resources, they want our water, they want our land. And if they get that on the terms that they want, they will destroy our way of life. That's what's at stake.
There we go, fearmonger, baby.
Our way of life because
pass the blame.
Many things, and it's a great country, but it is, America is not Canada. America
That's true. America is America, and Canada is Canada. Just like every other country is their own country.
We're all Canadians, and we celebrate that. America is a melting pot. In America,
no, don't say that.
Is now an insult, and it soon will be a crime to promote it. That's not a line. That's a reality. That's what's
what did he say?
Promote it.
Promote what? Hold on.
And it soon will be a crime to promote it.
I didn't catch that.
That's not a line. That's a reality. That's what's.
Why are you lying about our politics?
It's a shame. Maybe they'll snap out of it eventually, but that's what they are now. In America, healthcare is a big business.
That's true. I agree. Yeah, it's a scam business.
In America,
you guys are lucky with that a little bit.
Through which tens of millions of people fall through.
The budget will balance itself. Yeah, it's like water, just levels itself.
And Canada never, ever will be part of America in any way.
Bro, you guys will always be Canada. We don't want you guys. Trump doesn't even want to get rid. He wants something different. He doesn't want Trudeau, the Chinese
The question for us
candidate.
is what do we do about it? And in a situation like this, we have to ask ourselves, what can we control? What can we influence? What can't we control?
Xi Jinping.
We can't control shocks that come from outside our country. We can't control foreign wars. We couldn't control a financial crisis that happened 15 years ago that
Xi
started in the
Jinping's.
US. Can we control President Trump? No.
Nobody can, dude.
Can anyone
Trump is an
control President
uncontrollable
Trump? No.
force.
I think we can influence President Trump
Yeah,
by taking seriously some of the issues that he
Yep.
raises.
that's all it's about.
Taking them at face value and trying to find solutions that are in our interests as well. And the tragedy of fentanyl on both sides of the border is something we need to
There we
address.
go.
Having a secure border is something we need to address. And the measures the government has put in place and reinforcing those, and making sure they work and cracking down on drug gangs and
The
opioid
border.
abuse here in this country is
What if you guys
something we
just
need
put
to-
military on
So
your border
we can
too?
influence him a bit. But exactly
You guys just have a
when
crazy like northern border,
President Trump,
the
and
Arctic.
it's only President Trump, and President Trump is willing to sit down and hammer out a negotiation that works for our auto companies, that works for our steel companies, that works for our aluminum companies, that works for our agriculture. Exactly when they're willing to do that, it's not clear. But what we can control is what we do right here in Canada. We are absolutely
That's what Pierre said, too. Make Canada great again. Just do whatever for
We
Canada.
can control our economic destiny, and we will control our economic destiny. And by doing that, we will put pressure on them. We're doing it because it's right for us, but in a negotiation, that's how you put pressure on the other side. You focus on what you can control. You start building.
Yo, this is really random and it has nothing to do with Canada, but listen to what Elon just announced, and I hope this happens to Canada too. Breaking: Elon says he will discuss a Doge dividend, which President Trump would offer a tax refund check to Americans funded by savings from Doge because of all the, the fraud and waste.
Right
So we're going to get an extra big refund.
We have what they want. They're going to have to ask nicely for it. I wanted to say a couple of quick things, and then I'll finish and we'll have a chance to meet.
That's
just
wild.
In terms of what does that mean?
Elon! They hate Elon, but
What do we need to do?
that's
The first
exciting.
thing we need to do
That's
is to get
exciting.
on top of government and government spending. We need a government that works for you, a government that gets things done. We need a government that spends less, but
Let's be
invests.
clear.
And I'm going to outline exactly.
Yeah, thanks, Cole. Let's go, Elon.
Thank you. This is a crucial
You guys
point
need a
because
Doge too
unless
over
we
there in
start
Canada
there,
for sure.
we won't be able to do all the other things we need to do. And we're going to reveal this in the next couple of days exactly how.
Let's be clear.
I propose.
Let's
to
be
do that.
clear.
So government spends less and invests more. And by invest more, what I mean is
Waste
that
more of your
it
tax money.
catalyzes large-scale investment in the private
Dude, that
sector.
Santa Claus in the back
to build
right hasn't changed
to
expression
build
in
new
like
energy
an
infrastructure,
hour.
To build clean energy infrastructure, to build new trade routes for our finished goods, to build a better Canada, and that's what we're going to do. We also need to make sure we have one Canadian economy, not 13.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. No more tax between you guys. Put it together. Make big one jumbo big company
If I'm
between you guys.
Selected, I will convene, and I've already spoken to a number of the premiers, all the premiers and the Prime Minister, to accelerate that process. We have a window where people understand, and Canadians across this country are demanding one economy, and they're demanding action, and we need to take this.
I agree with
because
that.
if we do just that, if we just do the one Canadian economy, it will have a bigger positive impact on this country than anything
Elon's Canadian?
the Americans can throw at us.
Well, you guys hate Elon. I will support him because he's getting us out of misery. And we're going to get a big refund.
Two other things we need to do. We need to find some new friends. We need to find...
What?
It's okay. We were friends with our neighbors, now they're just our neighbors. We'll find new friends. We're good people, we're good people. And we have some old ties, we're going to renew some of our ties. We're going to diversify our trading partners.
I'm sorry, only regular Canadians are cool. I just hate every country's politician never really represents them.
Into Europe, UK, some of the major powers, like-minded countries in Asia, not all the countries in Asia, but like-minded countries. We have what they want, they think like we do, they won't turn on us.
Is he talking about the EU and Europe? Because they're about to get hit with tariffs too from Trump. Next week, Starmer's coming in.
Big thing we need to do is to make our country more secure. We need to make our country more secure. We need to meet our obligations under NATO.
There you go. Hit your 2%, maybe 5% if we're lucky.
And one of the things that I'm determined to do is we could get there very quickly if we sent a bunch of checks to the United States. Exactly. Yeah, don't do that. We're not sending a bunch of checks to the United States. Right now, we spend 80 cents for every dollar for military hardware goes to the U.S. of A. Wow. Yeah. Doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? So we're going to ramp up what we spend right here in Canada. We're going to defend our arms.
That's what we want too.
I want to finish on one final point, which is a fundamental point, and it goes back to, I think, why we're all here, and I want to thank you all for the support.
Do you see when our parliament stood and adopted the Nazi with Zelensky? Did you see when our parliament stood and applauded the Nazi with Zelensky? I did not see that. Any page out of Pierre's book. Yeah, Avila. I was saying that earlier. These people keep saying similar things to Pierre. And I don't know. I don't like Zelensky, so.
But we also want a strong economy because we know we can't redistribute what we don't have. We can't be strong abroad if we're weak at home. We can't build the future if we can't manage the present. We need a strong economy so that we can have a proper healthcare system here in Ontario. You heard the debate last night. It's the biggest issue.
I'm sure you would, Nicole.
Is the Ontario economy?
But we got to keep him for a little longer.
Part of it's mismanagement.
He's not done with his mission.
The economy isn't strong enough. We need a strong economy so that we can provide childcare for young families struggling as they get started. So we can.
Yeah, this guy's really boring. Really boring.
Canadians already who can't.
It's hard to listen to. I'd rather just interact with you guys in the chat than opposed to this
So
guy.
that we can secure old age pensions and deliver on our promises there. We need
He's about to fall asleep.
To take the ideas from the innovation lab. I hope it's over there because I'm pointing over there. It's all around us, but for the innovation lab. To take those ideas.
I think I'm going to react to Nigel Farage next from Reform UK. That guy seems like a character.
And help put them to work to build the economy of the future here in Canada, an economy that doesn't rely on the winds in the Oval Office. That's why we need a strong economy. And the only way we can build a strong economy is together. So I thank you for your support. I thank you for the time. I look forward to meeting everyone.
This guy goes third place. First place, Pierre. That was a crazy speech. The Make Canada Great Again, the Flag Day speech. Jagmeet, he spoke a little better. I could see what he was doing. He was like a Gavin Newsom, but he spoke better. This guy, oh my god, that was so boring. I don't know what he's talking about. And yeah, that's it. Like and sub. Thanks for watching. We'll be back with some more stuff. Hopefully Pierre has another speech soon because his are the best. And then next up, I think I'm going to do Reform UK with the Nigel Farage. So